Alright, what is going on, guys? This is the first video for the Psychology Bootcamp, and it's going to be on emotional control. So ignore my spelling because I'm kind of retarded. My brain just moves too fast. I can't. What am I supposed to, know how to spell everything? Alright, so emotional control is the biggest thing that you need to have because it's very easy to not have emotional control, right? And when you talk to someone who's not trading and you say that the most difficult thing about trading is the emotional aspect and not being able to control your emotions under pressure, they don't really get it because it sounds like, oh, that's easy, right? Just stay disciplined, just don't do stupid shit. And yeah, in theory it is easy, but there's a lot of layers to it because our brains aren't set up to function in trading. Okay. So, the biggest thing with emotional control is understanding a loss. So, you have to have a loss philosophy because a lot of the times people tie losses to their self worth, their confidence as a trader, their ability to even execute the next setup. There's loss aversion. After a lot of losses, you end up just kind of, hesitating on really good setups because you're scared, right? Losses can literally traumatize you, right? Because obviously, after you taking like three, five, six losses in a row, you're going to be a little bit hesitant because you don't want to feel that pain anymore. You're like, fuck, like I'm going to wait for something that just, you know, tells me exactly where it's going to go and then I'll enter. But then in hindsight, you're like, well, that was telling me where to go. I was just kind of scared and I was looking for reasons not to take the trade. That's loss aversion. And how to overcome and really master, taking a loss from what I find is just understanding the law of large numbers, right? One loss means absolutely nothing. Okay, if you have a 70% win rate, that means you're going to lose 30% of the time. And there is no way to know for sure if that next trade is going to fall on the losing or the winning side of probability, right? So you just have to understand that on a single data point, you don't know the outcome, but over a large enough statistic and sample size, you do understand that you're going to win more than you lose. But if you let those 30% of losses affect the 70% of wins, that's going to drastically reduce that 70% edge you have. Okay. I made a video on this about understanding and how to take a loss, but just to go over it, like something I've found is kind of breaking them down into three categories. So you have a statistical loss where you did everything right, the trade just didn't play out. That's fine. You have a method loss where you took a good trade, but there was something that you should have seen which would have prevented you from getting in the trade. So that's a method loss. You made a method error, a methodical error. And then there's emotional loss. That's where you basically just broke your rules due to any type of emotion, whether you were impatient, you were too impulsive, you were greedy, you were scared of missing an opportunity. Um, so it's three things, right? Statistical, emotional, and method. Once you start journaling that, you're going to be able to get a really good idea of where your losses sit, whether you need to work on the way you see the market because you're taking too many method losses. You need to work on your emotions because you're taking too many emotional losses, or these statistical losses you're taking, you just need to understand that, look, this is a statistical loss. I shouldn't feel any type of way about that. And that'll allow you to really just kind of, it's like water on your back. It's a loss, you learn from it. The biggest thing with losses is you need to understand that, yeah, you took a loss, but maybe I can learn something from that. Maybe I can actually extract some knowledge and turn it into a win. Okay. So just understanding that one loss really doesn't mean anything. It's completely irrelevant whether you lost or you won because your job isn't to win or lose. Your job is not to make money. Your job is to execute your edge. And your edge consists of 30% to 40 to 50% of losses, right? As a trader, Your job is almost to lose. You have to lose in order to extract the wins. Okay, so just understanding that one loss is completely irrelevant, it means nothing. Okay, trading, what I've kind of found recently is trading has nothing to do with money. And obviously, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but your job isn't to make money. Your job is to read the market, execute your edge, and understand that obviously, as long as you execute your edge, you're going to extract the wins, you're going to extract the losses. Okay. So, really just understanding that you need to take your wins from your losses and not get emotional about it, right? Currently, where I'm at right now, I've lost 3 times in July. If you've been trading in early July, you know this shit is fucked. I mean, price action is ass. But I'm not going to blame the market because every time I lost, one was a statistical loss, and the 2 losses I had were actually method losses, where I could have seen something. If I just saw something and made a different decision based off of what I saw, then I could have prevented myself from taking that loss. Okay, now I know those things, and now I'm going to be a better trader for it. Okay, and that's not going to affect my confidence at all going into the next trade because the most recent trade is fucking irrelevant to the next trade. Completely irrelevant. It has nothing to do with it at all. My confidence isn't in if I won or lost, it's in my ability to execute the setup. Okay, so now I'm going to jump into confidence since we're actually on that topic right now. So let's say stable confidence versus fragile confidence. And I'm not going to be doing a lot of like writing here, so you should probably get a pen and paper. Um, because this is all really good information that's helped me out a lot. Like I've been trading for about a year now. Like I said, I'm not profitable at the moment, but these things that I'm learning are pushing me towards becoming profitable. And at the end of the day, these things are all just facts. You will not be profitable unless you have a good understanding on these concepts. So this is pretty simple. Stable confidence versus fragile confidence. I realized that when my confidence, because whether you like it or not, you have to admit you're gonna be in a better mood if you won rather than if you lost. Okay, you just kind of have to admit that. And you can say all you want, like, oh, it's not, but at the end of the day, that is the situation. And you have to try and deviate away from that as much as you can because the outcome of a single trade is kind of, it's not random because you have your edge, but you can always have a loss, right? You can do everything properly and still lose. So if your confidence is tied to an uncertain outcome, then that's going to be pretty fragile confidence. Okay, and you can't have fragile confidence, because one day you win, one day you lose, and then you're just all over the place. You're just up and down emotionally. And you can't have that. So, how you switch away from that is understanding that stable confidence comes from your ability to execute your edge. Okay, so if you take a loss, the last 3 losses I've had, 2 of them, like I said, were method losses, which in theory are my fault. I could have avoided them. But I know that I did everything I could to execute my edge to the best of my ability at that time. Okay. And for me, that gives me confidence knowing that, look, I'm confident in my ability to execute my edge, whether it's a win or a loss. If it's a loss and it's my fault, then I'll learn from it. Right. But I focused on the execution and I didn't start thinking about money and maybe I can get green today. Maybe I could pass an account today. What if I sized up and I could really just go all in on this inversion here? I'm really confident. Like, no, right? Your stable confidence will come from your understanding that you just need to execute your edge. And whether you're green or red is completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Okay, so that needs to be a shift in your mindset. Okay, because you simply cannot get emotional after a loss. And if your confidence is tied to the most recent trade, it's just going to be up and down. So your confidence needs to be tied to your ability to execute the setup. Okay. So I hope that was clear. And that kind of brings us perfectly into our next one, which is a process-focused mindset versus a outcome-focused mindset. And this is actually, in my opinion, the biggest thing in terms of, really switching that mindset to thinking like a profitable trader. Okay. A process-focused mindset, you are simply focused on executing one perfect setup on the day. Whether that's two setups, whatever your rules are, you're only focused on execution, right? You could give a fuck about how much money you could make. Oh, I need to hit a 2R here. You're just going to hold randomly until you get like, 2 times your money. Like, I don't know. That to me seems stupid, right? You need to say, look, this setup is valid. I'm going to execute here. My stop loss is going to be here because that's the invalidation point. My break even is going to be here. Then your take profit's going to be here. Obviously, you want positive RR, but you can't just focus on the money because that's going to lead you to be very emotional. Because us as humans, money is a very emotional topic, whether you have a lot of it or you don't. So you can't be focused on money, right? The moment you realize that money really doesn't have anything to do with the setup you're about to take is the moment you can really shift your mindset. And it's hard because humans are outcome focused beings, right? And we always focus on the outcome, right? You do something, you want to get an outcome. But unfortunately, in trading, you're going to go into the day, you're going to execute your setup, and you're going to get shit on. Okay. That isn't like what if, that's going to happen. Okay. That's going to happen. All these people that say they haven't had a losing trade in 2 months, like they're either insanely good or they're lying. Okay. I'm not saying people can't have really good months because you can get good at, really executing your setup, knowing the conditions, knowing the narrative, and, getting really good at risk management and not losing often. But at the end of the day, you're going to lose. So you can't focus on the money. You have to remain process focused at all times. Okay. Because when you focus on the outcome, then you get unstable emotion, right? Oh, I'm up. Oh, I'm down. Oh, I should probably just take profit here because that's all I need for a payout, right? You're, that is like a sporadic, it's an erratic way to think. And as traders, you can't really think like that. You see these traders and they're up a whole bunch of money and they're still waiting for their take profits to get hit by a tick. It's like just take profit now. Who gives a fuck about like 5K? You're up like 100 grand. But they're not thinking about it like that at all. They're thinking about, look, this trade should hit that. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But in my opinion, the trade idea is that we touch this point. Okay. And that's how those traders get there. They're not thinking about the money. Obviously, we all want money. That's why we're trading. But you have to shift your mindset because the trade setup you're about to take has nothing to do with money whatsoever. Okay. You just need to focus on how well you can execute your setup. It's that simple. That's a massive mindset shift. Okay. So in your journal, I would go into it and say, look, today was I outcome focused or was I process focused? Was I kind of focused on the outcome? Did I want to make money so I maybe rushed a trade? Or was I patient? I didn't see anything, so I didn't take anything. And that's that, right? And, it's easier said than done, but that is the biggest shift that I think is going to help me become a very profitable trader. Because these profitable traders, they think differently, they act differently, they move differently. And that is one of the things that has allowed them to think a certain way and act a certain way. Okay, so that is the biggest fucking thing that I would focus on. These are all very big things. I think this is high. This is tech right here. Like, I don't know if people are going into it like this, and that's why I'm making this video because it really is all psychology. The next topic is so emotional triggers. This is something that I've been doing a lot recently, and it's helped me out a lot. The fact that we have these emotional triggers that trigger us to make emotional decisions. So off the top of my head, the ones that I have is when I take a loss, so for like an example, a method loss, I know I shouldn't have taken that trade. I just know it. It lost, and now I'm sitting there at like 940 with a losing trade. So if I take another trade, it's like I'm just trying to make the money back I lost. You're kind of frustrated, and then that leads you to rushing another trade, right? Another one is like if I get stopped break even by a tick and then we run to my take profit, that's gonna kind of be a trigger for me because I'm gonna be pissed off, as you should be pissed off. It's fucking annoying. And that might lead me to making an emotional decision and rushing a trade that isn't very probable, but I just want to get in the market. I just want to, subconsciously get back at the market and just make my money back. And that's where you switch to an outcome focused mindset. These emotional triggers are going to be different for everyone, but these are things that can shift you back to an outcome focused mindset. So you need to protect yourself at all times. And how you do that is understanding these emotional triggers. Because if you look in your journal, I'm sure that you have days where you just crash out, right? And if you actually look at those days, you're probably going to find that it came after a loss, right? Whatever happened, or like one emotional trigger, a stop at break even, you get stopped at your stop loss, then we run to TP. Something triggered you to become outcome focused, which led you to overtrade, over leverage, and just blow your account. And that's where, you have to understand your personal emotional triggers and study them. So when they happen in real time, you can take a step back and think, look, I'm on the verge of, becoming a little too outcome focused right now, which could lead me to taking a shitty fucking trade. Okay? So, like I said, that's going to be different for everyone. I have about four of them. The taking a shitty loss, going stop at break even, price running without me, when it stops me out or hits me at break even, and missing a trade as well. Sometimes I'm, sitting on the markets at 10 a.m. looking for a trade, open my phone. All the trading gurus are like, oh, if you didn't catch that, you're a donut. How did you not see this is the A plus setup? And then you're sitting there thinking, what the fuck? I didn't even take a trade. And then you feel like you missed out. So then you might rush another trade just to feel like, hey, I made money too. And that might lead to a loss because you're rushing the trade in unprobable conditions. So, understanding your emotional triggers is going to be key to really controlling your emotions. And the next one is this is something I thought about recently. I'm not going to lie. I hit a dab pen for the first time in a while. And I was sitting here just kind of looking at my journal, studying, thinking like, how to think like a profitable trader and just going over, fucking hell, going over like a whole bunch of different things, right? And I found that we have two traders inside of us. Okay. We have the outside trader, which is, the journal self, the logical thinker, where you know the things you shouldn't do, you know the things you should do, because they're not like complex things that you shouldn't do. But when you get in the market, something takes over you and you make dumb decisions that end up costing you money. So that's the inside trader. And I realized that the inside trader, he's not around right now. Like where I'm at, I'm sitting at my desk. He's not with me. I meet him at 9:30. Okay? And that guy, he gets really emotional after each candlestick. You're in a trade and, it's a great trade. It's an A plus trade, but then you kind of retrace 20 points into drawdown and you're like, fuck, shit. This might be a terrible trade. Why did I enter this? I'm an idiot. And then, you might take profit way too early, go break even way too early, or get emotional if you do lose, right? He gets emotional after every single candlestick. That's the inside trader. The outside trader thinks logically, he knows what to do, but the inside trader makes most of the decisions while you're in the market, okay? And I think the biggest thing is you need to understand that the inside trader, he can't really be trained outside of the markets. You have to train him inside the markets. So the outside trader, which is yourself, the journal self, understand you need to take authority because that inside trader, he will always be there. He's not going anywhere. But you can learn to realize when he's trying to make a decision and you can prevent that, right? You just need to be aware that the inside trader in you who gets very emotional after each candlestick, he's there, he's ready to make emotional decisions. But the outside trader, you need to think logically and protect yourself from that guy completely taking over your decision making. Okay, and I feel like that's a big thing because so many times I've made stupid decisions that I said I wouldn't do 10 minutes ago. Like, what the fuck? It's like I blacked out. And I think a lot of that comes from, the inside trader and the outside trader. Inside trader is emotional, outside trader is logical. Okay? Outside trader is process focused, inside trader is outcome focused. And just understanding these two and really making sure that you keep the inside trader in check while you're in the markets. This may seem like a stupid idea to some of you. That's okay. But I do think that it can kind of sum up the whole idea of just like, why did I make that decision? It's because, the inside trader, he's feeling those emotions, right? He's just getting in the market. So I think that's an interesting way to look at it and maybe kind of go into that in your own journaling and your own thought process and just make sure you maintain control of the inside trader, which is just basically making sure you're in control of your emotions while you're actually trading. And just understanding that you will always have the capability to destroy your day. That's the thing with trading, right? It's like if someone named you mayor of an island, you could do whatever you wanted. You're going to have to make rules to make sure shit runs smoothly. Okay? That's what trading is. We all get into it for freedom, but we have to set rules for ourselves to prevent chaos. So that, I think, is worth going over. And the last one I want to go over is you have to have a winning attitude. Attitude is everything. Because if you take a loss and you're like, oh, why me? Oh, damn. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe the market's out to get me. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Like, this game comes with losing. Okay? And you just have to make sure that you maintain a winning attitude at all times. You have to be optimistic. Okay? Even when you're in drawdown and the trade looks like shit, you have to throw your hands up and say, oh, well, like that happened. Is what it is. I'm going to learn from that. And then I'm going to get better. But if you have like a losing mindset and a losing attitude, then you might as well just fucking like stop trading because you're not going to make it. Because as traders, we're going to have rough days in terms of losing a lot of money. If you want to scale up, eventually you're going to lose a lot of money in a single day. And if you have a losing attitude, it just isn't going to be sustainable. So I think that that's very important to know and to understand and to really try and shift your mindset. So all of these things here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things, I think that these are very important things that can shift you into a profitable mindset. And if you don't have a profitable mindset, you will never be profitable, right? If you have fragile confidence, good luck being profitable. If you don't understand a loss, good luck being profitable. If you don't understand being process versus outcome focused and you're just all over the place, good luck being profitable. If you don't understand your own weaknesses in terms of your emotional triggers and what can set you off, good luck being profitable. If you don't understand that, you do have the capability of completely ruining your day, good luck being profitable. And if you have a losing attitude, good luck being profitable. And, that's why I feel like this was a good video to make because I've kind of gone into these things individually in depth. And I'm just not sure everyone else is doing it to this degree, which is why I'm making a video. I feel like I have some shit to offer. But that's emotional control. And it takes time, right? It takes time because building habits and changing the way you think takes like a month to 2 months of repeated habits. And if you are like half a month in and then you go on tilt and you just completely lose track of your progress in terms of your thinking, then you're going to reset that rewiring process, right? It takes a lot to rewire your brain and the way you think. So that's why it takes a long time to become profitable. Okay. So work on these things, apply these to your journal, and if you don't have to agree with all these things, you know, you I think you should look into them though because I think they're important. But yeah, this is just really the journey to becoming consistent. That's the whole thing. And being consistent requires you to prevent yourself from making bad decisions because a profitable trader, he's not just going to crash out and lose all of his accounts in one day because that's like they're not going to do that. You don't see them doing that. Right? They're locked in emotionally. They understand these concepts. So understand these concepts, learn them, study them. It's going to take more than this video to really understand this for yourself. But I hope you guys got something from this. This is just the first video of the boot camp. The other ones I think are going to be very beneficial as well. So tune into those. The next one, I believe, is discipline. Okay, so I might bang that video out now or do it tomorrow. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know what you guys think of these. Let me know which one you struggle with the most and which one is one that you think might be very helpful for you. Let me know what you guys think about the video. I'm just kind of starting to make these videos and I'm really gonna lock in on this content shit because I feel like I got a lot to offer and also at the end of the day it's a little selfish. I just want videos of myself when I'm unprofitable. Okay? Because I'm not going to be unprofitable forever. I'm going to be stacking accounts. I'm going to be getting consistent payouts, and it's because of the way I'm thinking. It's not because I can execute a trade better than anyone else. It takes no skill to put on a winning trade. It's because you can you know, act and react consistently. Okay? Let me know what you guys think, and until the next video.